1-800-449-8255. And does Sharky have an album for you tonight, people? Oh, wow. Genesis. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, 1974. Now, is this one of the greatest albums ever recorded in history by any rock band? Me, Clark the Shark, I would say most definitely it is, you guys. Now, I would compare this album to The Who Quadrophenia, which came out in 1973, 1 year before this amazing Genesis album. And of course, this would be the final Genesis album ever with Peter Gabriel, who mysteriously and weirdly, mumbled something about, long tours booked way in the future. He quit the band very oddly, you guys. And many people have either never forgiven him or they just, it's like, shrug. But the same people also respect Peter Gabriel as a solo artist, and as do I. Yours truly, your humble servant here, Sharkadoodle-Doo, the Clark the Shark Show, people, from the Golden EIB Sharkraphone right here on October 9, 2023, a Monday, 3:06 a.m., you guys. And I'm back down here in North San Diego County, California. I was up in Los Angeles for a hellish week in a Motel 6 with no bath. And you know me, my legs are fried. They're just toast. My 58-year-old legs. I hope I'm not getting one of those bad diseases, like I don't even want to think of it, but there's like an electrical feeling that goes down the side of my right leg. The back of my left leg hurts because they did a surgery on it to remove a skin cancer tumor. And then my right knee is just jacked from doing swimming pools since like 1992, 93, all the way till 2019. When I started to limp in 2018, many swimming pool guys took note of this over at Superior, in Vista, and elsewhere, and they deemed Clark the Shark unworkable, unhireable. Some people even claim for the way I dress or my long hair or I don't know, I'm a weirdo on the internet or something. But me, Clark the Shark, I don't care about people's hair or their acne or what they write on the internet. Or, I know we're all the same, and some people just are bold and or just foolish and stupid or just crazy, or they got to get shit off their chest. I don't know. But right now, I got to get this Genesis album off my chest, because this album was the culmination, you guys. It was the Arrival album. It was the crescendo orgasm of Genesis, the first, the early part of Genesis with Peter Gabriel. I shouldn't really say the early part. I should say maybe the better part, not maybe, definitely. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. The Wolfman Jack on crack, telling it like it is. That's right. Sharkadoodle-Doo, Sharkalama-Ding-Dong. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. The story of Rail, this guy, a Puerto Rican guy in New York City. Some confusing story that Peter Gabriel wrote, and that the other guys in Genesis made this music, whether it was reluctantly or whatever, I'm not sure, but they would be in one room recording music while Peter Gabriel was in another room singing, rehearsing by himself and writing lyrics. And I remember Phil Collins said, it was working out kind of absurd, and yet in the end, the project was incredible when it was all wrapped and on sale and all that. And I remember being 10 years old, when this album was out, and everyone thought it was a work of genius. They all just thought it was an incredible album around Torrance, Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, Palos Verdes, the South Bay, you guys, of Los Angeles, where I, Clark the Shark, infamously am from. And definitely my songs with GE, The Greenhouse Effect, are definitely influenced by GE, Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, people, and all those other albums before it. And then a couple of albums after it, A Trick of the Tail, which is awesome, totally different from this. I can't even compare them. They're apples to oranges. And then again, No. And then the album after that, Wind and Wuthering. Quite a good album. Not as good as A Trick of the Tail or this one, but pretty darn good nonetheless. And then there were three. 1978, a very interesting album where Steve Hackett was no longer in the band. And then, of course, Duke has moments of brilliance mixed with pop and, I don't know, weak soft rock or whatever. But to me, Clark the Shark, I even kind of accept Genesis Duke as a real Genesis album. Believe that or not, you guys, I actually do, right here on the Clark the Shark Show. It certainly isn't as good as the albums before it, but they're just holding on by their fingernails on Duke. Now, every album after that, the three-piece Genesis would shift gears into a pop rock band with ABBA crap and all the stuff after that. And there are nice moments here and there, but overall, they lose a Bullock or two, you guys, and something's just wrong with the band, and they're never really good, the way you like them or love them ever again. They become this substandard, mediocre pop group that kind of reminds me of like Sting from the Police solo. Not really like that, but like that. Just kind of crappy, worthless, adult contempo, whatever rock. I could be right or wrong here, but I think I'm pretty accurate. I can't really put my finger on what happened to Genesis, but I know you can't distinguish the later Genesis too much from the solo work of Phil Collins. Now, back in the day here, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, 1974. Genesis are in the midst of being this awesome prog band, but they're also, weird. Peter Gabriel almost makes them like, I don't know, kind of like, not like Joy Division or Television or those bands or U2 or any of that, or Bowie, but kind of like that, like Roxy Music or something. Can't put my finger on it, you guys. But the four progressive guys in Genesis don't go at all with Peter Gabriel. And yet the end result is so brilliant and awesome. It's like they go together in perfect harmony. And it really all comes together on this album. Now, of course, the album before this was the incredible Selling England by the Pound from 1973. And then Foxtrot from 1972. Amazing album. But there's something about The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, this dark, blurry, grim, progressive album. Much of this album sounds very dark and moody, brooding. I'm not saying this invents that dark, brooding, moody thing, but all of a sudden a bunch of bands after this album almost seemed like they wanted to be like this album or something, or kind of like it. Just all these and it happened in the British, the Brit scene, the new romantic bands, I don't know what you call them, those 80s bands. They all have a little Peter Gabriel in them, and they all have a little The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway in them. And yet, there's something about this album that is all its own and is nothing like those bands at all, and nothing like anything else. This is totally original, you guys. And it just captures an atmosphere of a dark, grim New York city landscape. You almost get the feeling like you're in this dirty, smoggy, overcrowded city, and it's cold and it's raining and it's just so bleak and gray. Kind of like the way the Who Quadrophenia channels its story. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway by Peter Gabriel and Genesis definitely does that, you guys. Here, totally different from the Who Quadrophenia, but not unlike that also, you guys. The two albums to me have a lot of parallels, just in this bleak story that they're telling. But something about this album I like even more, you guys. Genesis are way better musicians than The Who. I'm not knocking The Who. Entwistle is incredible, and so is Keith Moon. And they got talent in that band for sure, but not like these five guys here, you guys. This is incredible progressive rock that really gets respect, not just in the progressive rock scene, but in new wave and punk and heavy metal, you guys, and dance pop, 80s bleak, grim music. So much music looks to this album and turns to this album for inspiration. And a lot of people don't even know this, you guys, right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. Yes, indeed, you guys. This is one of the greatest rock albums ever recorded, and it's almost like this isn't even rock music. This is classical, progressive, not jazz, not even prog rock as you would traditionize it. It doesn't sound like Gentle Giant or Eloy or other Genesis albums. This album has a sound all its own. It's nothing like Yes or ELP or any of that, you guys. This album is a special moment in the history of all music, not just rock music. This album, people, is a classic. It is amazing, and I don't care what the stars say, you guys. It's a 5, okay? It's a 5-star album, regardless of the stars. Of course, me, Clark the Shark, growing up, All Music gave it a 5. And Rolling Stone gives it a 4, you guys. So, Rolling Stone probably wanted to hate this. But it's just an incredible album, you guys. And it starts out and greets you with one of the greatest ever songs in all music, not just rock music. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Incredible, by Banks and Gabriel. And everybody, all 5 of these guys are incredible on this amazing melodic song that just sets the tone for this album. Why they put this song first like this was genius, and yet in some way I don't like it too. Can't put my finger on how I'm torn about starting off the album. The whole album, the whole amazing rock opera opus or whatever this is, with the title track, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. What a song, you guys. Tony Banks on keyboards, amazing. And Phil Collins drumming on this song is amazing. Everybody, of course, Rutherford and Hackett. Track 2, Fly on a Windshield. When you start getting into this album, you guys, And believe you me, I grew up on this album. I've been listening to this whole album since I was 10 years old in 1975, you guys. Don't listen to anyone else who does a review about this album because they're probably not old enough. They're not 58 years old like me, and they didn't grow up with this album, you guys. I did. Fly on the Windshield is amazing. Broadway Melody of 1974. Of course, side one's incredible, you guys. Cuckoo, Cocoon. Great song, you guys. Hackett and John Hackett. Cuckoo, Cocoon, one of my favorite songs on side one. But of course, In the Cage. Oh man, what a song. Amazing. Progressive, offbeat, off time, weird drumming by Phil Collins. Progressive, dark, bleak, captures the atmosphere, you guys. You just like, oh, you're just cringing at how perfect side one is. And In the Cage, oh man, the music's by Banks, you guys, but the lyrics are by Gabriel. But the whole band is playing, you guys, and it's unbelievable. Rutherford's unbelievable on bass. And Steve Hackett, of course, you could argue he makes this album incredible with his guitar on every track. And the Grand Parade of Lifeless Packaging kind of reminds me, if you describe our world of 2023. What a song. The music by Banks, the words by Gabriel. You know, at the time, the guys all said this album wasn't working in the studio and it was disjointed. But somehow, the music that the four guys write goes perfectly with Peter Gabriel and his narrative lyrics, his singing. Peter Gabriel's singing is so amazing. Like a combination of David Bowie, Brian Ferry, and I don't know, John Lennon or something. He's an incredible genius. Now, side two, you guys, back in New York City, amazing. What a song, all 546 of it. The music by Rutherford and Banks. But of course, Peter Gabriel makes the song genius, incredible. Hairless Heart, of course, Hackett and Banks, awesome. Counting Out Time could be a hit song on this album. It's like a little ditty, a cool little track. I love Counting Out Time, and it's by Peter Gabriel. He wrote that song, people. And it kind of reminds me of maybe David Bowie or maybe even like the Kinks, but the lyrics are definitive and could only be by Peter Gabriel, you guys. And of course, Carpet Crawl. Man, amazing, you guys. Amazing. The Chamber of 32 Doors. Gabriel, Hackett, and Banks. Well, you just got to hear it, you guys. Progressive, bleak, dark, humorless, and yet funny. Lily White Lilith. Side 3 gets incredible, you guys. Every song is amazing. The Waiting Room. All 518 of it. Awesome. Capturing atmospheres, dark, bleak. You're really into the story of Rail here. Anyway, one of the best songs on the album, and it's only 318 by Banks. Here comes the supernatural anesthesia. I call it anesthesiast. Incredible, you guys. Once you listen, don't use any drugs when you listen to this album. Listen to it sober, kind of like the way you would listen to a Frank Zappa album, but this is way better than any Zappa, you guys. This is incredible. Track 5, The Lamia by Banks. One of the greatest songs on the whole album. Awesome. awesome. And then the instrumental, Silent Sorrow and Empty Boats. It says it's by Rutherford and Banks, but I get a Steve Hackett vibe by that track, you guys. And side 4, The Colony of Slippermen, 820, kind of a traditional Genesis song, but then again, no. Part A, The Arrival, A Visit to the Doctor, that's me, Clark the Shark, and C, The Raven. What a song, man. It's by everybody, Banks, Hackett, Rutherford, Collins, of course, Gabriel. Narrative, you guys. Side 4 is probably the weakest part of this album, and yet it's awesome, you guys. Ravine, the instrumental, dark, bleak, capturing it, you guys, capturing the moment, the essence, the dark bleakness of this story of Rail. And The Light Lies Down on Broadway, kind of a reprise, you guys. Banks and Rutherford, and of course, Gabriel. And then writing the Scree, Killer, of course. And in the Rapids, interesting, definitely. Now, if there's one song on the album that I'm not sure, I kind of don't like the song, and that's it. The very final song on the album, which just sounds to me like bland, typical 1970s rock or something. I almost wish it wasn't on the album, and yet there's something about that song, that is really good. And of course, Peter Gabriel, his narrative, you guys, makes even that song amazing. And this whole album it captures a sound all its own. No other progressive rock band has an album like this. And in fact, no other rock musical band has an album so amazing as the very dark, bleak, moody, depressing, gray, very cold. And when I play this album, I feel like it's raining outside and I got to turn the heater on in my house, because you look outside the windows and it's just gray out there and it's bleak. And yet this music's melodic, atmospheric. It captures incredible moods, many different moods, you guys. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, the story of Rail, a story that even I, Clark the Shark, still don't quite get this story. But I think it's about an insane Puerto Rican guy who's losing his mind in New York City. I've tried to understand this album, and I don't understand what it's about at all. And yet I love this album as if I totally, fully understand every inch and every little detail about this incredible album. And I want you guys to buy this album from 1974 by Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, the final album with Peter Gabriel in the band, you guys. Unbelievable. I'm Clark the Shark, and you just got the only review you'll ever want, you'll ever need of this incredible album by Genesis, this progressive album, and yet it's so dark, so bleak, so atmospheric. It captures something so incredible. I can't put my finger on it, you guys, and yet I can. I can tell you this is one of the greatest albums in the history of all music, not just rock music. And I want you to go buy it at Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, especially if you're just 23 years old right now in the year 2023 and you want to learn about incredible music, amazing music. I want you to go get this Genesis album right now. And you told him you heard it from Clark the Shark right here on the Clark the Shark Show, you guys. The most amazing, gifted, talented, incredible, dynamic talk radio show that is taking America by force and by storm. But baby, I don't have the talent of Peter Gabriel in Genesis and The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. No way, you guys. And I'm certainly not as interesting as Rael, the lead character in this album. Sort of like Jimmy from Quadrophenia, you guys. This album very much is Genesis's attempt at their version of Quadrophenia. It's a rerun of that, and yet it is nothing like that. This is totally their own, and it is all original and incredible. And man, does this capture something. And I want you to buy it, people. And you heard it from Sharkadoodle-Doo right here at 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkerphone. It's not a microphone, you guys. It's a gold, solid gold Sharkerphone that was given to me by Dick Clark. Because a lot of you out there think Clark the Shark is a dick. So Dick Clark gave me his microphone, and in honor of him, I'm telling you guys to go buy this incredible Genesis album. I'm out of here, people. Go buy it. Peace.